Welcome. I'm Doug from HD Ellsworth. The D in HD, if you don't get it, you're definitely not my wife, and this is Dying to Retire. Join me on a candid journey from my government job to the freedom of retirement. As one of the last of the baby boomers, I am hanging up my federal badge and diving into what comes next. I will talk about what led to my decision, on why it was time for me to retire, and what I did right, and what mistakes I have made. I am not an HR expert, nor am I a financial advisor, so I have made a few mistakes. When I can, I'll slice through the noise of today's headlines with a sharp, no-holds-barred commentary delivered with the kind of honesty only retirement can afford. This podcast is a safe space for non-woke people, and while I try to keep everything somewhat above board, and if it has to be said bluntly, it will be. Vegas rules apply here, so let's get started. Today's episode is a different type of food for thought. A little bit of dessert, and who doesn't love dessert, and a little bit of vegetables. Kale, asparagus, that type of vegetables. As always, this podcast is a safe space for non-woke people. While I try to keep it somewhat above board, if shit has to be said bluntly, it is what it is. Vegas rules apply. Now, retirement. That's what this podcast is about. My retirement. It's an elusive dream I'm chasing as a federal employee, and my path is often littered with hidden pitfalls and surprises I'm coming across. My navigation of this retirement process feels like I'm playing a game of chess blindfolded sometimes, and I never know what's coming next. One of those pitfalls that will affect my future monthly pension check is what I like to call the three horsemen of the pension apocalypse. Now, soon to be retired employees need to remember that each of these three horsemen hit our monthly pension checks post-tax, not pre-tax, the way they were when we were active employees, the way I am right now. The first horseman is the Spousal Survivor Annuity, SSA. Say that real fast. The SSA is essential under the FERS, Federal Employees Retirement System. And SSA can provide a continuing income stream to my wife after I die. However, it's crucial to understand that despite what you may have heard, like many of my family members think, an SSA is not free, and it involves the replacement of my pension with a set annuity in order to provide my wife with monetary benefit. So let's understand the options for SSA. You have one, full survivor benefit option. This option allows the surviving spouse to receive half. I know it said full, but it's receive half of my retiree's pension. Therefore, if my pension was, let's say, $2,000 a month and I died, my wife under this option would get $1,000 each month for the rest of her life. That's gross. I'm not talking about adding the taxes and everything else. Let's keep it there. The second option is called a partial survivor benefit option. Under this option, the surviving spouse receives 1/4 of retiree's pension. Therefore, if my pension was $2,000 each month, like I had before, example, and I died, man, I'm dying a lot in this shit. My wife under this option would get $500 each month for the rest of her life. It's not a lot, but it is something. Number 3 is no survivor benefit. This option means that the surviving spouse will not receive any portion of my pension after I die. Selecting this option is pretty straightforward. It's not a bumpkiss. It means the wife gets nothing. However, it's important to note if I was trying to select option 2 or 3, my wife would have to sign off on it, and her signature would have to be notarized. It's down to that part. The page that they have has it, and it has to be notarized. So I can't play that, I need something something game with her. The one where I tell her I need something something on those special something something nights where she gets something something after I die. Nope. That's definitely off the table. I can't play that one. Now, factors to consider when deciding a peace of mind for financial protection. When evaluating which SA option I am to ultimately select, and it's really both of us, because there's no takebacks, there's no mulligans. Soon to be retirees like myself and their spouses should consider the following three factors: health and longevity, other sources of income, and financial impact. And let's break that down. Health and longevity. What is your health? What is your spouse's health? Well, I know mine's okay. The health conditions and life expectancies of both spouses play a significant role in determining the appropriate SSA option. At least that's what the counselors tell you, and that's how they put it. In my family, in my case, the men on average lived to the age of 72. My dad was a little odd. He lived to 81. That's why I want to be fully retired by the time I'm 62. On my wife's side, the women tend to live well into their 80s, if not older. Now, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but like I tell my wife, only the good die young, so she'll live for a long time. That doesn't work well, and the couch is my friend. Other sources of income. Are there additional sources of income available to my wife? What will her Social Security benefit look like? Are there other investments or other retirement accounts that we need to consider? Let's be honest, people, playing the lottery is not a retirement account. You can't bet on it, and anyone in this state of Maryland's never going to win. Lastly, financial impact. We afford me selecting option one and two? My wife and I must assess the overall financial impact of each of the SSA options and determine if the reduction in the annuity, aka monthly pension amount, is manageable. And and when I mean manageable, what I'm talking about, are we good? Do I need to get a part-time job at Walmart as a greeter? Now, the school book answer is that choosing the SSA option can provide peace of mind to me. Okay, I'm dead. Okay, that's peace of mind before I go, but that's the school book answer. Peace of mind for the soon to be retiree. For I will know my wife will receive a stable income after I pass. And it's a polite way of saying after you kick the bucket, take a dirt nap, it's money going to your spouse. Yes, that is peace of mind. I make a joke about it, but it is something I want to make sure she has. Now, this income is invaluable because every little bit helps all our savings, investments, everything to go. What's also very important in talking to a lot of my coworkers, or at least a couple in particular, it's especially helpful for those federal families who did not or were not able to take full advantage of their thrift investment or other investments throughout their careers. And now they're going to have to rely heavily on the federal pension as the primary source of retirement income. And we know what those are. The ones that had large families, had to move around, they could not max out their thrift deductions. The second horseman is the Federal Employees Group Life Insurance, FEGLI. As a soon to be retiree, federal retiree, I need to consider the FEGLI options and program. FEGLI provides life insurance coverage for federal employees and retirees. As a retiree, I can continue my FEGLI coverage, but I got to make the decision within 60 days of my retirement date. And like I said before, there's no mulligans. You got to get it right. Now, there's four options. The first one's called Basic, and Basic is real simple. It provides coverage that's equal to my annual basic pay, rounded up to the next 1,000 plus an additional 2,000. So if you made 150,000, or let's bring it down to reality, if you made 100,000 or 97,000, you would round it up to 98,000, then plus two, that's 100,000. All right, so let's think of it that way. Now, I have this coverage since I became a federal employee because it's one of those automatically enrollments. It's an opt-out plan versus an opt-in. It is important to note at the age of 65, the face value of basic insurance will decrease by 2% per month until it reaches 25% of its original value. So 25% of 100 is $25,000. However, the plan's premium, that sucker goes up as I get older. To offset this, most soon to be retirees select what they call a 75% reduction option to get the smallest premium on there. Option A, that provides a base $10,000 of additional coverage. It's a flat cost with no reduction in payout. I think this plan is to make sure my wife has money to bury me, but I also got the DD 214 for that, and cremation ain't gonna take a lot. No expensive casket needed. Option B, and this is the fun one, provides additional coverage from 1 to 5 times your annual salary, your annual basic pay. Let me correct that. Again, this plan has a reduction at age 65, and the premium goes up a shit ton as I get older. And I have to make sure I do not select this plan, and this is for me, as I have other insurance that covers it and it's cheaper. Plus, I will be retired. And this plan is really, in my optics, intended to replace my salary when I'm working. Option C provides additional coverage for your family members with each eligible family member, like a child under 18 or your spouse. It's a set amount between 5,000 and 25,000 because you can do a multiplier 1 to 5. And like option A, option C does not have a reduction payout. Keep in mind the cost of FEGLI coverage increases as you get older. A and B increases as you get older, and you need to carefully think about it because how it fits your budget. I looked at this before, and I was looking at paperwork because we have a calculator at work that we can use. And what it showed me was I would be paying almost $800 a month when I retired. And think about it, it's going up a little bit each year, and I'm losing coverage. Is it worth it? Not really. Basic, yes. Option A, yes. B and C, not really, in my optics. The third horseman, federal employees' health benefits, FEHB. The FEHD program offers the health insurance coverage for federal employees and retirees. And as a retiree, I can continue my FEHB coverage as I've been enrolled in it for the past 5 years. And that's one of the requirements. You've had to have been enrolled in it 5 years prior, each year, 5 years prior to your retirement. No shortsies, no halfsies. I'll also be able to keep my dental and vision plans. And as all federal employees know, your dentist loves to know when you have federal insurance because they want to try to sell you, oversell you everything related to your teeth. Oh, you grind your teeth? Oh, I see it right here. You need to get that. Oh, you do this, you get a crown. Okay, we have to do all these in crowns, or let's do the replacement. It's only $5,000 and they paid X number amount. Yes, sound a little frustrated because I do have a dentist who does that. Therefore, getting back, because I know I digressed a little bit, it's crucial that my wife and I review our health insurance needs and compare the plans each year to ensure that we, during open season, select the best plan that suits our health requirements. We do have one additional benefit. My wife can carry over her health insurance when she retires, which I am also a part of, which will help us both when we go into retirement. Now, let's wrap this up. I've explored the three horsemen of the pension apocalypse and the choices I and you, as a soon to be federal retiree, need to make regarding your SSA, your FEGLI, FEGLI, or your federal employees' health benefits will shape your, like my wife and my financial futures, shape your futures. There are no mulligans, like I mentioned before in this process. There's no do-overs. You have to do this right going in. You can't go in and do it. The only change I ever saw was like the SSA is that if your spouse dies before you, they will adjust accordingly, but you don't get any of those premiums because it is like a life insurance annuity paying out. You do have to pay into it. You don't get any of that back. So my recommendation on this is if your employer offers you any classes on this retirement, on your retirement, take them more than once if you can, because I've seen some people do that. And let's not forget that you and your spouse need to clarify and work with clarity and confidence and a bit of humor. Navigating through this pension maze is serious business, but you got to be able to laugh at it and lighten the load. There you go. Moving on, and it's a little bit of a digression, but I wanted to mention this part. And it's kind of close to my heart because I listen to a lot of different people on the radio and news media and read in print, and they like to go after the federal government, and particularly the federal employees, as an easy target during election season. And as I'm recording this, an election season is beginning to ramp up. Now, I'm going to say this. Do I have problems with the federal government? Yes. Is it too large? Yes. Do you need a lot of federal employees to do stuff? Hell yes. F yes. Are there redundancies that could be reduced? More than likely. But using the federal employees as your target, as the scapegoat, is probably not the smartest thing to do. Now, like I said, there are redundancies. There are different federal governments that are probably repeating what other ones are doing. But the biggest problem people have with the federal government is the federal overreach, not exactly or in particular the employees. They like to pull up employees like someone who was in the news a couple of years ago in the IRS, which did a lot of bad things, or in my opinion, bad things. And that individual was quoted in getting a near $200,000 a year pension. I don't know who the hell those people are. I don't know where she's getting that. That's not the regular GS or GG federal employee. That is not the case. In fact, state employees, in particular local county employees, often get more than what federal employees get in the retirement. Their packets are a hell of a lot better, and you don't have to be as long in there to be vested and to start getting money out. Now, like I said before, are there redundancies? Hell yes. I would love to see Elon Musk or anyone else create these AI systems, machine learning, that look at each one of the federal government infrastructures and agencies and see what regulations that are enforced upon the American people were actually voted on by the elected officials versus what was done by that agency itself that put it out. And now people could be potentially charged as of crimes. I think they just recently did one on land that I forget which land, BLM or something on that side, not that BLM, the Bureau of Land Management or the EPA, created their own thing that never got voted on by the elected officials, elected representatives. So they just made some shit up, thought that was good, made it federal law, though it was never put in as federal law. It was just an agency law. So I like to see that done, plus get redundancies to make sure what other federal agency isn't stepping on a federal agency. And where those redundancies are seen, you should combine those different agencies or tell the other one, get the hell off my lawn. This isn't your bailiwick. It's kind of like I thought it was, what was it? DEA was telling FDA that DEA gets to determine what's the schedule for the drugs. No, you're an enforcement. FDA does that. So please keep this in mind. I know there's a lot of bad things in the federal government, but there's a lot of good things, and it takes a lot to process everything that's needed for the federal government. So, my thing, I understand I'm talking about a lot of things here, and I get a pension when other people don't, and I feel extremely lucky for that. But the other side is I can be a conservative individual, but I get mad at the different conservative elected or running for office officials who think the federal government employees are the easy button, are the easy one to go after. No, they're not. And it's people who are looking at that don't even realize most of the stuff that they're losing goes to their state and local taxes, and those ones get actually better pensions. And I'm not saying no, they shouldn't get their pensions. I'm just saying put it in context. That's it for today. Curious, concerned, or just want to chat? I'm all ears. Reach out at dyingtoretirepodcast@gmail.com. And if you find yourself nodding along or you just enjoy the ride, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Hasta luego.